Hey everyone, this is Alvie from Just Alvie News. I'm down in Sheridan, Arkansas. They're about to start their City Hall meeting. We'll be broadcasting live. One of the things on the agenda tonight is going to be a dog pound. So I won't be able to talk to you guys, but I will stream the entire meeting for you guys.
Ready. I got a brand new mattress and everything.
Okay, I'm ready to go. I'm telling you.
Hey, we still got a couple of your name on it.
All right, good deal. I feel like going home with you.
You got your private room? Yeah, private room down there, Glenn?
I got a suite down there. You know, I supported that tax for jail when I was down there. I'm glad we had it.
You got the most use out of it.
Doing all right, yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I'll go back there. No, just here.
Someone share this to the people of Sheridan group. Share my life to the people of Sheridan. Meeting will get started in just a few minutes. There's a pretty packed house in here, so I think we're going to have a lot of speakers tonight. So hopefully you guys will be able to hear them. Starts at 5:30, so it's just about time. Hey guys, since I'm at a city hall, I won't be able to talk back to you guys.
Alright, and Danny be here.
I think you. About time.
Don't quit talking about Mike. I will. It's all right. Eat the first. So Danny is as far as I know. No, you're good. Remember? I don't want Tony to get confused down here. Oh, they do that. Yeah, I didn't want Bone to confuse something you done.
That is the mayor of Sheridan, King. You got Tony's here, Mike's here, Judge Andy Pruitt is here, Betty Cook and Bill Crosley is here as well.
It's okay. I'm good with it.
That is a big thing. The big thing on the agenda tonight is dog pound in the dog shelter. So that's why a lot of the people that's behind me see we got a big crowd. Town hall's packed tonight. So I believe it'll be a little bit long because we'll hear from a lot of public speakers is what I've been told. And then I don't know what else is on the agenda tonight. It's not, my voice is still a little bit going, so hope you guys can hear okay. I'll just make a second video. We're about to get started. Yeah, don't forget to click reactions throughout the video.
We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Appreciate everyone being here tonight. And I know that this was not really a special call meeting, but it's been in the works. I saw several individuals. I had a few call my office and ask if there was some hidden agenda of why it would be on a Wednesday night. But as you can tell, there's several individuals here, and it took quite a bit of time to try to get everybody in the room. So as you can tell, we're recording, and I see someone's Facebook Live, and so there's no hidden agenda here. But I'm thankful for you to be here. And I really want to say thank you to the county officials for being here, and we're honored to have y'all here with us. And so really, no real order of business tonight. We just really intended on hearing from the public. And as I can tell, there are several public comment forms in front of me. And just want to make a quick reminder before we start this. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. And they must address the presiding officer rather than individual committee members. And as long as please try to refrain from any personal attacks. I know that's whatever. So we'll go from there. But we'll start with our first public input speaker, Mr. Jacob Palmer.
Hey everyone, thank you for inviting me to be here tonight. I'll keep my comments relatively short here. I don't really have any comments concerning the pound situation or the dogs or anything. First of all, I do want to say I think the world of these people, Misty and Maddie and a few others helped me get my dog, and I love that dog, and that's my best friend, and so I appreciate them for helping me out. But the main reason why I wanted to come here tonight is I wanted to express my gratitude and thankfulness to Mayor Natton and City Council and the Quorum Court for allowing the public to address the government body. That's something that a lot of organizations, including the school board, no longer allow us to do, even though I tried to fight against it, changing that policy. But I really do appreciate, y'all letting people speak their minds and to address their elected officials in a real capacity. That's a hallmark of our democracy, and a lot of people, a lot of organizations don't allow that. And so for y'all to sit here and take time out of y'all's time, to hear these people's concerns, that means a lot. And I'm not even, don't even have a dog in the fight, I'm trying to make a metaphor there or anything, but not trying to be funny, but seriously, I think the world of these people, I hope y'all come to some kind of resolution, but my main reason for being here tonight was to thank y'all for allowing people to come and address their representatives and to speak their mind and to throw their 2 cents in. So, Kane, I appreciate you for implementing that and the council for going along with it, and you're relatively short term so far, so that's the gist of my comments, and I said I appreciate every single one of y'all. You have a hard job, trust me, I know.
All right. Move on. Sandy Valentine.
Who should I be addressing? Everybody? Can't speak tonight. I am Sandy Valentine. I own Valentine Canine Rescue in South Sheridan off of 167. We've got a small kennel out there that I work from home, and I'm able to take care of about 15 or 20 dogs. I just wanted to address the situation with the number of strays, the number of animals that are dead on the side of the road. Really heartbreaking to see. It bothered me so much. I went online and was able to locate a very wonderful foundation, the Heigl Foundation, who just did a free spay and neuter for our residents here. I partnered with Tractor Supply, and the Heigl Foundation funded for us to spay and neuter 100 dogs and 100 cats for the community, and we just got finished with that on Saturday. And we were over our capacity by probably about 4 or 5, but we did all 200. It just goes to show, though, that given the opportunity, given a lower cost for spay and neuter options, that people will do the right thing. That we can control this pet population. We just have to put our efforts over into it. And I know it takes funding, and you guys have to figure out where funding comes from, and but I think we can work and we can figure out something. Be it us applying for grants, for our community, or some other type of funding through taxes or a special assessment, or whatever the case may be. Selling bricks, to build a building, but whatever it is, I think we need to address it and do something. I mean, we're a bigger city now. It's time for us to do something. That pound has been looking real rough for a long time. The people that have been working there have just been working themselves ragged. That's the gist of my comments. And I am open to anybody who wants to discuss rescue animals, whatever. I will give you guys every bit of knowledge that I have and whatever resources that I have to assist you guys. Because I know, there's a lot of decisions, and you guys are not all involved in rescue, so some of this stuff might be foreign to you. So, but thank you.
Questions, comments? Next would be Miss Holly Goggins.
As you know, last year Humane Rescue of Boston donated over $9,000 for the concrete slab and kennels on April 27th. The drain had to be moved, and I believe that was done early June. I then asked if we or Kevin could post on Facebook looking for volunteers to help get the kennels installed. I I was told no, and that the county work supervisor was going to use their inmates to pour the concrete. Nothing happened, and then I was told it was too hot. It has been 5 months since the slab was poured, and other than the drain being moved, I believe nothing has been done. Last Hope also provided a large box of costly monthly preventative for the dogs that the shelter refused to accept. I would like to see a foster adoption fee. If someone can't even pay a $25 fee, they would not be supplying adequate food, shots, and vet care. Surprisingly, even a small fee would deter those not serious about commitment of adoption and hopefully make those that have adopted put more of an effort into making things work rather than returning dogs after only a few days, which happens way too often. With approval, the volunteers installed a play yard at the shelter using fencing material that was stored on the property and not being used. Other things were needed to finish the project, and Animal Rescue generously paid for those. There was fencing left over that could have been used to replace panels of kennels that are pieced together with scrap pieces of metal and other materials, many of which were provided by volunteers. Volunteers have spent a small fortune providing blankets, straw, shavings, dog houses, blankets, as well as many other things. Most recently, raised beds for the inside kennels. I asked for the approval to purchase raised beds for the inside dogs, as they were no longer getting totes to lay in and were 24/7 on concrete. In asking, I stated that the beds were made of material that could be hosed off if messy and could be hosed under, therefore not a need to remove them. I personally bought 8 beds at almost $200. Within only a few days, the beds had been removed, and upon asking to put them back in, was told they would be taken out for 9 hours a day during cleaning. Supposedly, the beds are put back in when the employee leaves at 5, but we have seen proof that they have not been moved. Also, the dogs are not given the beds at all on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But why? The $7,500 yearly budget for the shelter, which doesn't include salary, benefits, utilities, some upgrades, is not nearly enough to give the dogs the safe environment and care needed. I have been told that straw will not be used when the weather gets cooler as it clogs the drain. Blankets are going to be used instead. As a sole person who did the laundry the last 2 months it was used, I tell you it is a lot. Many blankets purchased by volunteers and donated by the public were burned last winter rather than bagging them up to wash. A washer and dryer will be needed once the blankets are in use, as they will be getting wet from the cleaning of kennels and will need to be changed out daily. Since I started keeping track of the number of intakes in the first quarter of last year, there have been at least 190 dogs brought in. This doesn't include dogs outside city limits.
Just one quick comment. I think Everett told me earlier that we do budget, $7,500 for animal control carry. And I think to date total, Everett.
To date total, we've spent $15,500 on the dog pound.
So, just for my comment, I do think that there's definitely things that we could probably do differently. But that's majorly over budget, and we're trying to find ways ourselves to cut down on our budget numbers.
Is there a report that shows what that $15,000 was spent on, so we know? I mean, so we have a good idea if it's food, if it's
Absolutely.
yeah, just so we have an idea of what we're facing, what
Absolutely.
if there's somewhere we can cut corners at.
Yeah, and there's even we've received a few donations, but I don't even think they were a tenth of that.
And that's what I'm asking for, more money. Like that $7,500 is not enough.
The largest amount of cost was for the health care and feed for the dogs, and then just daily maintenance and upkeep. We've spent approximately $2,500 on trying to get things, looking better and moving along. Our next biggest expense was we had heaters installed and fans installed inside so that the dogs would stay warm, and that was several $1,000s having all that done.
I know there's tons that we could probably do different out there. I'm trying to punch pennies as it is right now. So,
Ma'am, what was the figures you gave at the end of your read about the number.
The numbers, since I started keeping track of intakes, which I'm a volunteer there, I've been volunteering, October will be 2 years. At times, I was there 4 or 5 times a week. And the numbers were, as of early last year, it's probably March of 2023, at least 190 dogs have been brought in. Which again, doesn't include dogs outside city limits, which the rescue's taken because they have no place to go. There's not a county facility.
That 191 is since March of 23 or 22?
22, at least that, because dogs have come and gone without being recorded or, yeah.
Well, I think at the public meeting we had last, I asked Everett for an update, and I think, you know, I hate to say it, but our shelter's a kill shelter, but I don't think we've killed a dog or had to put down a dog in what, years?
Years. It's been probably 3 or 4 years.
But it's been at capacity for a long time, for months.
And some come up missing that nobody knows what happened to. Also, there's been several that, well, if I guess I'll wait till my turn.
And the pictures, I provided the pictures, so feel free to look at those, and the numbers too. I used to give those numbers at monthly city council meetings, and then stopped because I was going to do it here.
Next, Vanessa Herring.
So actually, now that you guys are looking at the pictures, what I was going to talk about kind of goes along with that. So we really want to go back to being allowed to spay and neuter while they're there, because as you can see in those pictures, animals are getting out and they're getting into the pens with each other. And right now we have like 3 dogs, actually no, down to 2 dogs there that are actually fixed. And even over the weekend, we have a dog that got out and is somewhere. And
It was caught this afternoon.
Okay. Well, from what I was told, she was in heat. So there's a chance she could be pregnant now. You know, with possibility. But you know, the same thing with us putting in the play yard and stuff like that. It makes it easy for all of us volunteers. Sometimes there's only 2 of us while we're there, and when it's 100+ degrees out, to be able to exercise the dogs, you know, a lot of females will only get along with some of the males, things like that, and we can't exercise them together, you know, because they're not fixed. But we've had ones that have been adopted out before that have come back, you know, pregnant and things like that. You know, and this is prior to, you know, to Kevin, you know, being employed there, things like that. But, you know, animals just kind of slip through the cracks. You know, it would just be better to have it done beforehand rather than trying to rely on the people adopting them to get it done. If we could just make sure it's done ahead of time.
It's a law.
Well, yeah, it's a law. I mean, granted, I understand when they're puppies and if they're too young, you know, in those instances. But I mean, we have some that have been there essentially their whole lives. They've been growing up there and they're adults now. So there's no reason. And some of them, you know, it actually helps with their temperaments too, once they're, you know, fixed. So. I'm sorry.
You're going to use the rest of your time?
No, I'll donate it to Misty when she comes up. She's got a lot to say.
About 15 seconds.
Can I make one more suggestion for a revenue maybe? What about city tax, you know, dog tax, collected?
And so I'm actually from the north, and we actually do that. We actually every year dogs get licensed. So when I came down here, it was the first time I ever saw a dead dog on the side of the road, or even a dog not even on a leash. So, you know, that's kind of why I started volunteering here, because I had never seen or even heard people talk about shooting dogs before. Like, that's not a thing up there. That's why, you know, we all do our best to get them up north, because we're kind of crazy up there. with how much we love our pets. You know, and kind of the theory is if we adopt them out locally, they're just gonna come back to us because it happens all the time. But, you know, even a $10 fee, which is what we pay yearly, which is when I called, you know, the county clerk and asked how much and when, they had no idea what I was talking about when I moved here. You know, if you times that by how many people have dogs here, it brings in a lot.
Well, and we had even discussed, we had a meeting, what was it, 2 Fridays ago, or it was a few weeks ago. We talked about several things that we would like to implement with our pound. You know, something you said, that there have been dogs at the pound their entire life, and that's something that I don't, personally, y'all may think differently. I don't think a dog should have to sit in the pound for its entire life. So I'm thinking there needs to probably be time limits on, especially if we're a kill shelter. But not only that, you know, you need to.
Are you talking about euthanizing them?
Yes. After a certain amount of time.
Well, no, so the problem I have with that is the fact that we have so many people in town that are just having Oops puppies and then giving them away at Walmart for free, and then that takes away from people coming to the pound too. You know, people are just like backyard breeders here, you know what I'm saying? Where if we do something to actually control people from doing that, you know, it would actually help the ones that accidentally become stray, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and when those puppies also are the ones that are at the pound because the people gave them up.
You know, because the dogs we have are great. It's, you know, most of them, it's not any fault of their own, you know, so, and some of them, you know, just need a little work, but, you know, they become a little institutionalized, you know.
Well, next would be Jess Smith.
Yeah, I live in East End, so I don't have a dog in the fight. All my kids went to school here. I've been involved with the shelter. I've donated a lot of money to the shelter. I've donated all kinds of stuff. I've tried to donate spays and neuters on dogs at the shelter that need to be neutered and spayed for behavior issues, and I was told that I'm not allowed to, that they won't allow me to pay for a dog to go get spayed and neutered. So it seems to me if money's an issue, and there's other people that have tried to pay for dogs to get spayed and neutered too, and if we all want what's best for the dogs, why would somebody be turned down from offering to pay for a spay and neuter for a dog? Because
Who told you they wouldn't allow you to do that?
I asked the volunteers, and the volunteers asked the shelter. I don't know which person they talked to at the shelter, but
First time here does.
Yes, that's, nobody has.
No, Kevin, I asked Kevin, he said they only use librans and they're not getting spay or neuter while they were there.
We pay for it when they're adopted.
okay, but what I'm saying is the problem is when you have a lot of dogs that are not spayed or neutered in a shelter environment, you have a dog going to heat. It's not good for the males there. That causes a lot of fights and other things. And if people are offering to pay for it, number one, why does it have to go to Librand? If I'm going to pay and it's a good vet and I can get it cheaper at another vet or wherever, why does it have to be Librand? Number one, because sometimes their dates are 2 and 3 weeks out when they have time to do it. And number two, if I'm willing to pay for it, then why can't it be done?
Ma'am, this is the first time hearing of it. If you will come see me tomorrow, we can work
I
this.
can't come see you tomorrow. I'm a court reporter and I'll be in Little Rock doing depositions.
I'll give you my card
All right.
at the end of the meeting and we can work something out.
Okay, I'm not saying I can pay for every spay and neuter, but there are people that are willing to help. But when we get shot down and told we can't help, and we don't know where to even go to help, because if you contact them and he said, like I said, Holly asked, I said, I'll pay for the spay. And she's like, I asked and they said, no, it has to be done at the library. Because there are other places that do, like the Humane Society in Bauxite does cheap spay and neuters if you get on there and get appointments. Madeline stays up till midnight and gets the appointments so that people around here can get cheaper spays and neuters. And if you can get 2 for the price of 1, then why can't that be done?
Well, my question would be on this. doing that would be, are you gonna, is there like a checkout process, you come take the dog and take them?
That's what we've
I've
always.
organized many transports of volunteers who are more than happy to take dogs to get them spayed and neutered. They're not even their
All
dogs.
I was gonna say is that we're expecting the city to take care of the
No,
transport.
the city's
I'm
never.
sure my grant is the logical.
The city has never, when they had the mutual, no, I'm just saying, when the mutual agreement was in place, she organized people all the time that would go and check out the dogs and take them. She's done it for people, citizens after they've adopted, when they've had an appointment. But I have a friend that was adopted in Little Rock. She had 2 dog choices. One was already neutered, one she was gonna have to take it and get it neutered. She said, that's a no-brainer. I can't take off work and do that, so I'm gonna get the one that's already neutered. So to expect other people to adopt the dog, which is against the law to adopt it out anyway and not be spayed and neutered, but to adopt it out and then expect them to go do it, if we're all trying to give the dogs the best chance, then the best chance is them to already be spayed and neutered. So that when they come and look at them, they can adopt them, they're ready to adopt. And it causes way less behavioral issues in the pound. That's my 2 cents.
Next would be Madeline Smith.
So I've submitted 2 separate applications, one in paper and one via email to volunteer, and I've never heard back on either one. I'm afraid other people may have encountered this as well, and I hate for anyone to feel as though they aren't welcome to volunteer because of a mix-up. I would like to see a digital or online application made available. Even though I'm not an approved volunteer, I get messages frequently about how to volunteer at the shelter, and I direct them to go to the police department and pick up an application. This just seems like a really inefficient method. On another note, my friend adopted a dog from the pound in May. They were never given a date to get the dog neutered, and no one has reached out to them to set it up since the adoption in May. This is only one dog that this has happened for. According to State Code 2019-103, it's unlawful to release any dog that isn't sterilized from a shelter to a new owner if it is over 3 months old. The adoption contract has a blank that must be filled in for the date of sterilization with a statement saying the foster dog has not been sterilized. You are required to take the dog to a veterinarian of your choice for sterilization prior to blank. Failure to sterilize the foster dog may result in a citation being issued to you and the dog being reclaimed. If no date is filled in and no follow-up is done, there is no incentive or punishment for the animal not being fixed. This is unacceptable. It allows female dogs to potentially become pregnant after being adopted, which has happened once already, and she was then brought back to the pound to have her puppies. If dogs were sterilized while at the pound, this would eliminate that possibility. Paw Springs has also graciously offered to donate their services to allow the spayed and neutered dogs to recover at their facility, free of charge with no cost. This would allow those dogs to have an opportunity to recover from, especially the females, a very invasive surgery at a facility where they could be monitored much more closely and stay overnight, several days, and recover there instead of having to go straight back to the pound to be outside recovering from major surgery. And they've offered to do that for free. They have no problem doing that. I've talked to them several times. I talked to her today, and she, again, stated, yes, she is absolutely willing to do that.
Who made that offer?
The owner of Paw Springs, the local boarding facility and grooming facility.
To the vet.
Yes. And in the past, they've done this before, and we organized it so that, it was organized so that the dog, someone from Paw Springs went directly to the vet, transferred the dog from the vet to Paw Springs' facility, so no one had to go over there and just move the dog over next door. They did it, they went over and did it themselves. And again, they're offering this for free at no charge to the city, no charge to anyone. They just want to help the dogs. That's my 2 cents.
And can I, sorry to interject one more time, I'm sorry, but the dogs that she's talking about not being spayed and neutered from the pound, at my event that we just had at Tractor Supply where we did 200, one of the dogs that came in was from the pound and it was not spayed. And they brought her in and they revealed to me that it came from the pound. And I asked, this dog's not spayed and it came from the pound? They're like, yeah, it came from the pound. You know, they gave us a voucher like, I don't know, 6 or 8 months ago, but we haven't done anything with it. I'm like, nobody's checked up on you or anything? I'm like, okay, that's not good.
Next would be Glenn Strong.
Well, just listen to the comments. I'm gonna make a suggestion. The first thing I think y'all need to do, the mayor and the county judge need to think about putting together a single pound and getting it out from under the jail. Because those people are already overworked and understaffed down there. And all this stuff we're talking about is putting more strain on the jail staff. So if we're gonna have a dog situation, we need to put Kevin or somebody in charge of that, and we need to remove it from the jail. Because they're already limited on time and resources. And you all got to understand, when it comes to resources, they're limited. And the people that elected all of y'all and vote your taxes in, mainly voted for these for the citizens of the county, not to be a dog shelter. And I think if you dig through the years ago minutes, we had a time on kill. And if we go back to that policy that was written when the dog pound was open, we may not have a lot of these problems. We need to go back to where we started at the dog pound, which was to protect the citizens of Sheridan. And then we did have a time and the dogs were put down. That's just the world we live in. So I think we need to look at that. And if we're going to have this issue, we need to pull it out of the jail. That needs to be a major movement, because I'll tell you, them people got all they can do without the dog pound. They're overloaded, underpaid, and understaffed. And all we're doing talking about tonight is putting more work on these people who can't get the job they were hired to do in the first place. So, and it is a city, county problem. I'm not picking on nobody, but everything we're done tonight is directed towards the jail, and they already got their hands full. You know. And also, when you go talking about resources, you got to realize the resources need to be focused on the people more than they are the animals. And go back to the original minutes and find it. Go back to the original kill policy and put those dogs or cats down. Then we won't have the number we have. That's just where we live in. Thank you.
Savannah Marshall.
In the 5 years that I've been living in Sheridan, I've seen multiple stray dogs, not only in our city, but in our county. Our shelter we have now is not big enough or funded enough to support the current needs we have to help keep up with the growing number of stray dogs and cats in Grant County. I saw firsthand how a county shelter could help this year in April. I was driving from Malvern and passed the Saline River Relief outside Prattsville, where I saw 2 dogs that were playing in the water, but no people were with them. I stopped to check on them, and after examining them, I took them home and used every resource available to help find their owners. These dogs were not your average mixed breed dogs. It was a beautiful German Shepherd and a very handsome bully breed dog. They were both not neutered, and even with these dogs looking like a breed that someone would pay for and take care of, I had a feeling no one would claim them. When I examined them, they were friendly and they were taken care of at some point, but their collars were ripped off. You could see along their necks where the collar used to be. Although I don't know the dog's story, I can imagine from years of helping other people find homes for their pets and working at a vet clinic, it's very possible these owners love these dogs but couldn't afford to care for them. And since they don't live within the city limits, they have nowhere else they could think to put them except somewhere near water and hopefully food where they could have a chance of surviving. If a county shelter was available, these owners could have even gotten help with basic care for the animals, or at least a place to take them where maybe they could have been adopted out. If I had taken in these dogs myself and found them loving homes, these dogs could have caused also some major problems. They were both not neutered, so other female dogs around you would have puppies. They were also in an area where many people like to swim during the summer. If the dogs had survived, they could have become an issue for the people going to the river. I found out after I picked up these dogs, they'd been sitting there for at least 3 days that we know of, although I wouldn't be surprised if it was longer due to the severe malnourishment and fly bites on the tip of their ears that were bleeding when I found them. Multiple people drove by these dogs, and they didn't have the want or the availability to help them. After I picked them up and talked to some people, I found that this was a known dog dump site, and there's been multiple ones there since. I've seen so many animals and people in need of help a county shelter could offer. A lot of counties have them. And if they could help effectively control the amount of strays that are on the side of the road getting hit by cars, and also control the animal population. With a county shelter, we can get funding similar to the Humane Society, where we could offer a low-cost spay and neuter clinic or a low-cost vaccine clinic, which could reduce the number of dogs getting dumped in the first place.
Comments or questions? Not. Misty Smith.
I appreciate y'all coming and listening to us today. What I want to talk about is in 2020, I started animal rescue, and it's primarily a dog rescue. I signed a mutual aid agreement with the city to help however we could, however our rescue could, with the dogs at the pound. We did the adoptions. You've heard Maddie talk about, we did the spay and neuters, we did all of that stuff. I mean, it can be done again. It can be done again. You've heard people talk about the county, the dogs that are in the county, and I know I've talked to Mr. Pruitt about this. It's a problem. It's a big problem that we have, and we need to work together and take in the county dogs and the city dogs. Now, I wrote a grant in 2020, and I talked with the past mayor, and I've also, I think, talked to you briefly about it. We have $8,000 to renovate Pound. And I don't understand why you won't do it. Why you won't do it. You look at those pictures of those dogs. I mean, what is the deal? We're going to have to turn that money back in. And it's a win-win situation, just like when Last Hope K9 came down and they spent $9,000 making renovations to our shelter. Not shelter, it's a pound. There's a difference between a shelter and a pound, so I want everybody to know that. This is a pound, it's not a shelter. So, well, the difference is a pound takes in, like impounded dogs, like that. A shelter is more along the lines of a rescue. So, there's a difference. And I just, you know, things were going so well there for a while, and then I got banned from the pound. You know, how many people gets banned from the pound? I mean, I was told I was going to be arrested if I went. It's ridiculous. I mean, those dogs deserve better. There are people here who want to help. What's the deal? I mean, it's a win-win situation. I've got $8,000 to make changes to that pound. I've had it for over a year. Thank you.
It has to be spent on renovation.
It has to be spent on renovation.
Any comments from our jail administrator?
Yep. As Mr. Strong said, we're trying the best we can. We are understaffed, underfunded. I didn't catch the lady's name that was talking about what was your name, ma'am?
Savannah.
About radio.
Savannah.
No, behind you, I'm sorry.
Janice Smith.
Janice Smith. I'd be more than happy to entertain that, with you coming and getting the dogs, taking them to get them. I mean, that's the first I'm hearing about it. I took over the jail in February. So this is all new territory to me. And like I said, we're here to, my main concern over the jail is safety and security of the people. I realize the dog pound is right now under the jail, under that umbrella. And due to safety issues, you know, we have set time limits on when volunteers can and cannot be there. And that's just for their own safety as well as for the public's. So, but if you have any questions, you can call the jail, 942-5512, and ask to speak to me, and I can answer them the best I can as I know how right now.
Thank you, sir. Any comments from other individuals?
I've had a few of y'all talk about a county shelter or pound or whatever, however you want to do it. Has anybody done a cost analysis of what it takes to first build the proper facilities, and then what it would take to run it. Manpower, food, healthcare. I mean, that's all stuff, even when we talk about jail stuff, you know, we've had a conversation as a county about having a county jail somewhere. And it always comes down to cost. And of course, that's what we're talking about tonight, too. As you all know, it's cost. So I don't know if anybody's done that. Has anybody put those kind of numbers together?
Is there any way to see the ins and outs of the revenue and the taxes? Like where should we find
It's
that?
all public. You can just go.
Where?
You can get a budget, you can go to the clerk's office, they'll get you the budget. I think the clerk's, Darren might give me. I think you go to the clerk's office, they can give you a copy of the budget, and it's all public knowledge. If the budget's actually printed in the paper every year after passing.
What about the Old County Fairgrounds? The judge and I talked about that. Now that the fair has moved out, and I guess the lease is up, or
Well, it's still leased, they haven't turned it back yet, they've started moving stuff off of it. But we would really have to look at, you're talking about for a location to put something, is that what you're talking about?
yes,
Just
sir.
a place to
Yes,
be?
sir. To put the county dogs, that's what I was thinking. There's
Well-
already pens out there.
Yeah.
There's water. There's
We talked about houses right there. I mean, is it gonna be type of noise? Is it gonna be, we have the 911 facility right across the road. We have, I don't know, live right there next door to the senior citizen center. I mean, I don't know what kind of noise it can, I know I hear them over at the road department where they're at now. You know, I can hear the current pound, a city block away. So no, I would definitely want to keep that in mind. You and I talked, and I had to talk with Tony today. We do have some property, and I mentioned it to you, not saying, but all of this is we have a 9-person court that would, it takes you know, they make those decisions, and we all talk about it, try to do the best we can with the money we have, but it boils down to money. I mean, there's no doubt about it. What's it going to cost? We have no idea. We never ran a pound. I've had a conversation with Mayor Natton about joining forces and possibly making some type of agreement to allow county dogs and help them with expenses.
Yes, sir. Well, that's what I'm saying. Though there's grants. Sandy writes grants. I write grants. I mean, I've already got over $50,000 in grants. It can be done.
It can be done, but is it sustainable? Is it sustainable? I mean, you got
Maybe.
we can't look at a year or two. If we get in it and we start running, let me tell you what's going to happen when it makes the paper that Grant County now accepts dogs. If you got unwanted dogs, you have any idea how many dogs we're going to get?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I get calls all the time.
Yeah, because they're doing it in Faulkner County right now.
Well, I get calls 24 hours a day. I mean, I do have an idea, you know. I mean,
But when you open the door and just say, break them.
Well, and
I mean,
it's, there would have to be rules in
There's a
place.
county city, we can't pick and choose. We can't discriminate against folks. So when you start, that's all I'm saying.
Absolutely.
So what grants
Grants can't continue operation.
Well, that's what the dog tax would probably be for, you know,
Yeah,
register your dog and all
Then,
that.
so I know in some communities, they have an optional tax that people can sign up for on their personal property taxes, like the Fair Association has. I know of a lot of people personally who have already said they would be more than in favor of doing that on their personal property taxes.
yeah, there's one
And
city that has a
giving a
$5
donation.
tax, and it's just if you want to pay it or not, and it
It's
goes
optional.
to spay and neuter.
Why?
I mean, there's so many possibilities that we can do. We just want to make it better for the dogs. I mean, you know, that's it. I
So
mean,
with the city, and I'll say this, we're maxed out on sales tax. We are maxed out on sales tax, and we're currently pulling that out of our public safety fund, which not the dogs are not public safety, but, I mean, when you pour more money out of a public safety fund for dogs, you're pulling less money out for police, jail, and fire. We currently have a fire department that is not full-time, it's paid per call. I mean, as our city grows, we're gonna have to look at a full-time fire department. And, you know, it's just, and it's just gonna take conversations and trying to do the math on what we need to do as we move forward.
What we can do, I mean, we're not talking about a huge warehouse.
No,
absolutely
and
not.
you said a dog tax. We've talked about a dog tax. You talk about $10 a dog. Well, say you have, 500 dogs within the city. There's probably way more than that. But just 500 dogs, it's $5,000.
Exactly.
And that's That's not even gonna pay somebody a part-time salary. A part-time salary right now is
No, but it would go
$14,000.
towards that $15,000 where we're $7,500 over budget.
And it would deter people that have 10, 12 plus dogs.
That are
don't
hoarding
have
dogs.
them, because if you're writing citations, if you're going around,
Then we'll need more money to pay police officers with.
well,
Well,
I'm
just
just saying,
if
if they're doing, you know.
We're not saying
if
go
they're
out and
already
hunt them
out there.
down, like hunt them down, like find the people,
Yeah,
but
But the issue that you're gonna have then is, so when there's a dog on somebody's personal property, I mean, that's their personal property, right? I mean, it's also a free country. Somebody, if they want
Additionally-
10 dogs, they should be able to have 10 dogs.
Okay.
I'm not against any of this, yeah.
okay, but additionally, with all of those medical expenses, if the largest percentage of the expenses that we have is in veterinary care and feed, why could we not implement adoption fees, just like every other county and city facility, to pay for the spay and neuter so that it's not coming out of our budgets?
People were paying it before.
Absolutely.
When all of us
When our
volunteers
rescue
were doing the
was in charge of the
adoptions.
adoptions, I was the one who personally went through every application, and people paid the fee. And if they couldn't pay the full fee, they were always willing to pay at least something.
And we weren't getting the returns back that we are now. You know, I've only been there for about a year and a half, but the shelter has never been as full as it is now. You know, and
What is the current time for the, what, Glenn brought up that originally it's a kill shelter.
10 days.
Absolutely.
It looks really bad on the city from outsiders. I see other cities doing it, and it just looks like they're not even trying. That's what it looks like.
But you know how many owners have
Yeah.
come back after like 2 months and been like, well, that's my dog, and I'm like, they shouldn't even get their dog back at that point, but they would have already been long
Well,
since dead.
and I'll say this too, these are advisory committees. This is a public safety, this is a budget committee. Those types of decisions, you're talking about an ordinance there. That's gonna have to go before the full.
But an adoption fee is not. Implementing an adoption fee doesn't have to be an ordinance.
It does have to be an ordinance. When you talk about financing or any type of tax.
If it's the city or county collecting a fee, it's an ordinance. It becomes city and county law.
Okay.
I mean, that's the only way to put that into effect.
Yeah.
Why don't we, since Faulkner County is already doing this up at Greenbrier, they're trying to open it right next to Companion, spay and neuter, why don't we build off of what they've already started, maybe get their numbers and stuff? I mean, I know a lot of those
I
people.
know what we're trying to accomplish as a county, as a city, where we want to be and what we want to do. You've got to look at the places you're talking about, Faulkner County, Saline County. Their tax
their
revenue is
expenses,
off the charts.
Yeah, but their
compared to what
expenses
we
to pay
have.
people, their expenses for building materials and
Because
stuff
they
like
have
that.
they have the tax revenue to pay for that.
Yeah, I'm not saying that, I'm saying for a budget, you wanted numbers to see what the numbers are.
Right.
Maybe we can get numbers from them and
Okay,
you know,
I see what
save
you're saying.
ourselves a
I
couple
just,
steps.
when we go talking about comparing ourselves to Faulkner County. and
No,
Saline,
I'm not talking
we
about that.
can't do
I'm
that.
not talking about that at all.
No.
I'm just talking about looking at
Close.
what numbers they're using for their stuff and maybe adapting it to what we need, so we can kind of cut out some of the legwork.
I'm not on the thing, but I've got a question. We keep talking about we're a kill shelter. Okay, have y'all priced how much it costs to kill a dog?
Right?
Exactly.
Because
Euthanasia
that's
is
way more than what
expensive.
we're talking about to spay one.
Yep. Yes, it's extremely.
Plus you have to have a veterinarian go in there, you gotta have a
We
license
haven't
for you to
done
do
it
it.
in 3 or 4 years.
You know what I'm saying, though, is that's what they're recommending, that's what Glenn Strong recommended. So what I'm saying is, okay, now we need the numbers for that too.
Well,
Well, in the city's defense, I'm gonna speak up here too, but it's hard to compare that because when you kill a dog, your expenses stop right there.
We're not saying that. We're saying just
I
the
just
straight
mean-
up cost of spay neuter versus euthanasia.
But you spay one today, you feed it and feed it and feed it and give it health care and worm it and all that,
Yeah.
maybe for months.
I understand that, but
So
you
your
wouldn't
all
when
in is your expenses do not stop.
if feed
just
is
because
another
you
one of
spay
those
or neuter.
expenses that is so expensive that we have to pay so much for. Why don't we ask for donations?
And they wouldn't have to pay for it when the shelter.
When the rescue was had the mutual aid agreement, we regularly asked for food donations, and people were more than happy to do it. If we don't want to have an adoption fee and we don't want to charge people because that is a law that has to be created, why don't we ask people to donate a bag of food when they adopt a dog?
Or my rescue gets donations from PetSmart. We don't pay for our food. We get donations.
Tractor Supply does it?
Straight from the manufacturer.
Yeah, I've driven to West
Well,
Little Rock and picked up a whole
truckload of donated food and brought to the shelter.
There's a whole lot of conversation to be had here.
Right.
And I want to just remind everyone, these are advisory committees. Any type of full decision would come from the Quorum Court. And I mean, even tonight, we cannot make any type of decision.
So we're putting a bug in your ear.
Exactly,
And
and that's why we have public comment, because we want to hear from individuals.
We appreciate it.
If there's somebody that has a, like, if you have connections with people in Faulkner County or talk to those people and stuff, if you want to get those numbers together, see that if you have a contact or even give it to one of us that we can make that contact, I just don't know who the contact is there. But,
Right, okay.
I mean, I don't mind listening and hearing what the numbers are. I have a feeling it's going to be probably more than we have in the budget report now. But
I think the fairground sounded like a real good idea because those facilities you mentioned out there, they meet once a month. The rest of the time, those buildings, nobody's even in them. Now, the community, the.
911 dispatch is directly across the
Well,
road.
it is, it's across, I understand that.
Directly
But that's still backed up.
And there's a house, direct, and there's a house closer than 911, just right here.
And that's, no one's hardly ever in. The
So,
area seemed like.
if it comes down to just looking for a location, and I shared this with Ben, we own 150 acres out 46 South across from Cowboy Church out there. I mean, we own some property, and then you told me at the time on the phone that we don't like to put them out the way, like if there's been no people come there and kill all the animals and no one's out there. So I wrote that off. I'm just going to be real leery of agreeing to anything that's. I'm not going to build a nuisance for even one citizen with a shelter.
No,
I'm just not. I wouldn't want to do it to any of y'all here.
No,
and I'm not going to do it to
absolutely not.
anyone else.
No.
It's going to have to be a great location. If we have it, and our Quorum Court comes to an agreement with the city.
Absolutely.
And I would think to do something like that, it would probably need to be a joint effort, and that way you get it off with the police department. So there's some options out there to talk about.
I said, there's not gonna be a good location in the city that you're
Right.
gonna be away from people.
It would have to be in the
It
county.
would need.
It's going to be in the
And
county.
we have that 150
We
acres.
got that property out there. It's,
I by no means commit. That's why I hate to take conversations like this far, because it's not up to me.
No, we know that. We know.
These individuals.
We know. We know there's not,
but
so
there
we
is,
can't make
but
a
there is
decision
a
right now. We
possibility
know that.
where we're talking about it.
But it is a possibility.
Yeah.
So how do you get it to go further than just right here?
We're going to have to come up, first thing would be to come up with a good agreement between us and the city, and then if their council supports it and our Quorum Court supports it. But that still doesn't fix the funding. But it can give you a place where you can go and y'all can apply for your grants. You can spend the money you have and ask for
And see,
donations.
there is willing to put up, and see, there again, Faulkner County's doing the same thing, they're trying to figure out how to support it after it gets going, so maybe.
I'm just telling you, I'm sure the city would agree to this. I know the county would. Currently, I get called and I don't mean this in, most just local people, just people that grew up here, lived here all their lives. I said I wasn't going to say this in public.
then I'd stop.
But those aren't the people I get phone calls from. It's not. These people that didn't grow up here, they moved from bigger cities, and nothing negative. They do things different. They just really do. And I see some of you shaking.
Somebody
your head.
stop out.
You know what I'm
Somebody
talking
live
about.
next
They
door.
do. And they're the ones that ask the questions. And they ask me, what does the county do with an animal when you get a call like this? I say, we say that we don't have a place to take them, and it usually ends up correct. I mean, I've had calls. I've been judge. I worked for the county for 37 years, but I've only been in the judge's office going on 7, and I've probably had 3 or 4 calls in 7 years about an animal.
I've got multiple.
Y'all may do it, but they're not calling me and asking me to do something. I mean, asking the county to do something.
Well, they're going to call people that people know are
Yeah.
involved.
I wouldn't call the mayor about my trash pickup because that wouldn't make any sense. So why would you call? Well, obviously, but again, you're going to have those few. You're going to have a few that are going to call the county judge about a dog, but the majority of them are not going to go. Oh, I bet the county judge can fix my dog problem.
I do get asked though occasionally, what do y'all do if you have a situation like this? And I say, well, we really don't have that plan in place. And I talk to our attorneys. We're not required by law to do. We're not required to do anything.
No, but I feel like
it is illegal for us to do some things. We can't own a shelter and pay county expenses to do all this that y'all are talking about.
Right.
It's
But
illegal to spend taxpayers'
But
money.
it's hard to raise money if you don't have a place that you say, look,
There's lots of people willing to give grants, but if you don't have any place that you could build anything, then it's real hard for them to.
So my question would be, she already has a recipe, correct?
Yes.
Well, I mean, 8,000 isn't gonna.
No, I understand, but what I'm saying is, if we could get these funds, grants, and there's a lot of volunteer help, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Can we not, could y'all not use that to bolster her operation and help her with stuff?
Mine's on private property, and I mean, it's right there at my house.
Yeah, see.
And so my house is encompassed by a fence.
I don't blame you. I wouldn't want to pound by my house.
Well,
No, it's not that. I've got
And
20 dogs.
that's the
They're all
reason you can't
indoors.
put it
I have an
over.
indoor.
the grant that I
Because
have has to be
anything-
a
well, because any-
municipal shelter.
so
It
just like the
cannot
city.
be on private property.
So,
It has to be.
and I know it's already been touched upon, and I know how y'all feel about it, but anything that the city does, or that the county would legally be able to do, is going to be a kill shelter.
If we own it.
Now, they've chosen over the last 30 or 40 years not to kill any,
Why can that not be changed?
because
Why does it?
They've got to speak a couple of things. If I donate $1,000 next week, start putting the dogs down like we should have done in the first place, to start eliminating this problem. We got to start
That's
somewhere.
not gonna eliminate any problems,
Okay.
because as soon as you
Let's
empty
go back to
kennels,
the-
you will have 15
We need
more.
prevention.
Okay,
Prevention
okay.
instead of
Get
trying
my
to catch
mallet
up.
out. How about that? You want me to get the mallet out? Let me say something real quick. Yeah, and I'm gonna actually motion to adjourn because nothing can be done tonight. But we've started conversations, and the issues that I'm seeing is the county and the city. We're gonna have to have multiple meetings and work together to solve this issue. But it's going to be from volunteers like all of you to continue to work with us as well.
Yes.
And not just that, you know, Everett, I want to commend him because do y'all know how hard it is to run a jail? Probably not, because none of you do it. Everett does. And you know what that situation is probably like every day? You think it's all smiles? No. And on top of all of that, he's also in charge of the pound. So give a little grace there.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm all about grace, and I'll say that publicly. But what I'm saying is this is not going to be tomorrow we're going to have it solved.
No.
Okay? And I don't expect that from any of y'all. We all need to show a little grace, and moving forward, you know, I cannot tell you the reason why I love living in Sheridan is because there's so many different businesses here locally that I promise you, if you would go ask them for a donation, they would write you a check that day.
Yes. Absolutely.
They do it for all school events, and I promise you, if there were some way that and I might speak for Judge Pruitt here, that there was a shelter ran by a private organization, I promise you, I would give you every single one of our dogs. Every single one of them. And I'm sure Judge Pruitt would say the same exact thing. Even if we would have a written down agreement, contract
for services.
And that's what some cities do.
Yeah.
They have a contract with a service. But it's
same idea as the private jails.
Exactly. So, with that being said,
Before you adjourn, I have a question. On the pictures, Misty, did you bring the pictures?
Holly did.
Okay. This was dated in April. Is this stuff been installed?
No, sir, not yet.
Well, it looks like that would be an immediate solve some of the problem to get that done right away, wouldn't it?
We're trying to budget for what wasn't done, plus we've had staffing, manpower, and
Her 8,000 could be used for that?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's a thought.
I guess, I'm not sure, I'll have to check into that.
There's
I just
also
know
lots
we
of
fiscal
volunteers
year
that are willing to help us.
it wasn't finished when it
I mean, if there's funds available, and we're talking about spending funds too, and I've always said when in doubt, vote, just because I like to have it on paper. But I would love to have you show up for a city council meeting and say that, rather than just.
Well, this $8,000 has to be used at the shelter, at the city shelter.
Because when I
We
wrote
don't
the
have any other
grant, we
option.
had a mutual aid agreement. I mean, this fixing this shelter was the reason why I wrote this grant. And then, you know, whatever
The aid
happened,
agreement was
happened. You know,
But the $8,000 is there for the city to
Yes,
use.
I
We
mean,
want
it
to
is
be
here,
able to
and I
give
don't
it to
know
y'all to use.
I don't understand.
I think with all the talk about grants are good, but I just have this week, I think, seen articles in the paper about some organization that gave a $50,000 grant to maybe Jacksonville for their pound, and now they're asking for their money back. Because with grants, they put conditions based on all these things, so you have to be careful.
Well,
I think that's hinging on what they're doing with their breed-specific issues now. So a lot of funding is being pulled from them now.
But what I'm saying is you have to be careful with grants because sometimes they put stipulations on
Well, I was
it
just
that you may not always agree
And
with.
Yeah.
you come off as all of you.
I know, and I appreciate y'all, I really do.
We all really just want to work together for the
Yeah,
goodness
I mean,
of the
that's
dogs.
it.
Like
That's just-
truly, that's really what our goal is. It's not anything other than that.
And it's not euthanizing dogs because
No,
they've
it's
been there
not.
so
No,
long.
it's not.
You euthanize a
No,
dog
no.
when there's a reason. There's a medical reason, there's a behavioral reason, there's a reason. It's not for space.
It's also easier to get dogs on transport north if they are spayed and neutered.
Absolutely.
And
We can get them out
heartworm
a lot
it's
faster.
required.
See, we have all of this stuff that we could be, you know.
We'd like to see a mutual effort from you guys as well towards this. We want y'all to care as much as we do because we elected
Yeah, I guess the
y'all into your
resistance
positions.
from some people, other people, I feel, you know, you're welcoming the input and stuff, but others, I feel some resistance from.
Yes.
I don't want there to be any resistance. I want us all to work together, man. I'm ready. I'll do anything that y'all need me to do.
See, we got 3 rescues right here, is there more?
I'll give you all the experience.
Do you
that
not
I
need a
got.
subcommittee or something to actually have
Yeah.
that group and assign certain things to research, or, I mean,
We need a committee on
you need a
committee.
committee.
I mean, there are so many volunteers that are willing to do so much that we all feel like our hands are tied or we get shut down.
And you guys can have a lot more pull with like government funding. Like I know we had a surplus this year, $3 billion. Maybe y'all can call and see if we could get a little chunk of that or something. I mean,
There's a lot of people that also donate materials.
Personally, I work for Kohler, and we can apply for grants through Kohler if there was a location that they could be given to. Kohler gives out big money regularly, and they love to invest in
We've
the
gotten a
community.
$2,000 grant from
Yeah,
Walmart.
let me go ahead and say this. I know that myself, I will stay. Judge Pruitt, I'm sure I'll speak for him and say he can stay too. But I'm gonna go ahead and motion to adjourn just because there's several committee members that need to get. I know that if there's nothing else, I just make that motion to adjourn. So moved. Thank you for being here. And we're here. Yeah.
And we can still make it to a corner.
Southern Arkansas.
There.
Sandy.
There you go. You guys they had an advisory meeting down at the Sheridan City Hall where you heard them discussing the dog pound. If you guys that didn't know, the dog pound is located under the jail. Definitely talk about funding. Definitely some emotions involved tonight. A couple of sides on the fence. We all know a pound is a killed place. That's for every county, every city. That's why we have shelters. We also know that it takes money to actually make all that happen. What I will do for you guys, because you guys were asking me about the budget, I'll get with Carrie and get a copy of the budget. I'll see if I can get a copy of the pictures. Shout out to both Grant County and the City of Sheridan for welcoming public comment on this. I'll see if I can get a copy of the pictures as well and talk to a few people out here and give you more feedback on that. All right, for right now, I'm going to go see what I can find out for you guys. You guys are very welcome. Don't forget to click a reaction. Keep in mind, at the end of the day, you and I have the ability to change what's going on because we can have our pets spayed and neutered. We can have our pets spayed and neutered to fend that. Plus, you can donate to a local shelter as well. So always a touchy subject. Both had the City of Sheridan and Grant County out here, as well as several animal rescues. I'm going to get some questions answered. We know Glenn here, his solution was enforce the 10-day kill policy. No, definitely that was met with resistance for sure out here. So it sounds like they got an $8,000 grant. Looks like I got some journalists to do. I got some questions to ask from some of these people from the dog shelter, from the dog shelters out there. And Joni says, also remember, adopt, don't stop, don't go to a breeder. Plenty of dogs out there that y'all can choose from. Every county has an issue with this, and thank God for our shelter. Shout out to Hank's Rescue, the official dog shelter of Just Alvie News. All right, it's getting loud in here. I'm going to get me some water. I got a couple of questions that I need to ask, and then I'll talk to you guys later. This is Alvie from Just Alvie News, reminding you to always make good choices. Oh, look here. I actually wore my press pass.